International media is sorta important nowadays. With the rising popularity of things like K-pop, webtoons, and social media in general, the average Joe is exposed to foreign media on a regular basis. A form of media that's extremely popular in Western markets is anime. Up until around 2017, anime wasn't really a mainstream interest, for lack of a better term. So you'd think that people who enjoy the once niche art of anime would all rejoice to find others who have similar interests, no matter how they decide to consume the media, right? Yeah, no, it's actually quite the opposite. There's been a long-standing debate as to how people should consume anime. Not with regard to whether they pay for a service or watch it on a sketchy website. No, that would be too easy. The real source of debate is whether to watch it in dub or sub. Sub anime involves watching the show with the original Japanese audio and subtitles, whereas dub anime involves the replacement of the original audio with a new voiceover done by contracted production companies.
Mount Fuji! His head's Mount Fuji!
Many anime fans see dubs as inauthentic, cringy, and just plain unwatchable, but this isn't necessarily because the voice actor is bad at their job. I know a lot of people who love the work of a certain voice actor but can't bear to watch any of the animes that they've dubbed. So what makes their Western works beloved, but their dub works the bane of so many anime fans' existences? Well, part of it has to do with the production. As you can see, voice acting is done in the pre-production stage, after the script, storyboard, and preliminary visual developments. Voice actors do their job before any of the final animation has been put into place. This gives voice actors a bit of freedom with their performance, because there's very little that's set in stone. But dub actors aren't given the same liberties. Voice acting and subtitling is the very last step in the post-production stage. Not the pre-production stage, not even the production stage. It's the post-production stage. At this point, everything is done and there's no changing what's been finalized, so dub actors and adapters who translate the source material have very little wiggle room. Sarah Natochenny, the voice actress of Ash from Pokemon, says this in a video with Vanity Fair.
The turnaround time for these shows is extreme, so sometimes we are working with scripts that were finished the night before.
Not only do they work with short turnaround times, they also work within the confines of the animation. Dub productions aren't reanimated. If you play both sub and dub at the exact same time while it's muted, they look exactly the same. The translations are therefore forced to fit into the shapes of the Japanese language, like Sarah Natochenny says in the same interview.
So what I'm looking for when I see this in Japanese is the mouth flap, where he moves his mouth, where he opens his mouth really wide, where he has like a clenched kind of teeth thing, and that'll indicate to me where to put all the words on the page.
Heller Rosen discusses this a little bit when talking about the onomatopoeia. He talks about how there are a lot of onomatopoeia that aren't natural in speech, but are in exclamations, like the sound ugh. H is not a sound you hear in English, but you hear it in the exclamation that we use all the time. And although we make these sounds, they don't actually have a proper place in the sound system of English. So like Natochenny says,
sometimes I have to deliver a line in a way that doesn't feel natural to me. Sometimes I have to go really, really slow or really, really fast. Sometimes a line will be really urgent, but there's not enough mouth movement for me to say something really, really fast. And that can be a problem.
So not only are there linguistic discrepancies in dubs, but they also run the risk of visual discrepancies. The syllables that are stretched for exaggeration in Japanese don't always match the flow of English. Take a look at the scene that Natochenny records during the interview versus the original.
So lots of Pokemon I've never seen before! Yeah!
Ash's exclamation at the end is a natural exaggeration in Japanese, but in English, there's no justification for him to be opening his mouth that wide. So they add the word yeah, which also doesn't really sound natural. And subtle things like that can make it really hard to pull off a dub that sounds as natural as the source material. So, as we've gone over in this video, there are obviously issues with dubbed anime, and translated media in general. The production of dubs are simply much stricter than that of the source material, and the voice actors aren't given much freedom with their craft, needing to fit certain sounds into certain visual cues, some of which are completely unnatural. But that being said, can I confidently call dubs a failure? Not really. Although there are failures within dubs, the dub as an entirety can't be called a failure. Despite the complaints, dubbed anime continues to be produced, which means it must have been profitable in some way, and if it's profitable in some way, then it means that someone somewhere is watching and enjoying it. Dubbed anime also opens the door to larger audiences. It's easier for kids to watch shows in their native language, and not everyone can speed read the subtitles comfortably. And let's not forget that dubbed anime can also help visually impaired people. I also want to point out that there are dubs and localizations that are adored. Like Hitalia, an anime used to visualize international relationships in World War II, is frequently watched in English.
In Russia, they'll stop fighting if you go over and step in. What? Why me? No thanks. I want to see Lithuania get in big trouble and come crawling back for help. Then Latvia will be right behind.
Both Ace Attorney games and anime are known for being bad localizations, but it's embraced by its fandom. People love the mistakes so much that they've nicknamed the very inconsistent setting of the story Japanifornia. I think to a certain extent, dub anime is a success. There are shows with Korean dub, Portuguese dub, Brazilian Portuguese dub, etc., and all these dubs allow for much larger audiences that may have never had access to it otherwise. So, will I be watching dubbed anime from now on? Absolutely not. But I do have a new appreciation for what goes into making one.